Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we'll be discussing one of the most controversial topics in Hypixel Skyblock. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you do enjoy, and let's get into it. In this video, we'll be comparing the Berserker and Mage builds and deciding ultimately which setup is better. We'll talk about the strengths and weaknesses of each class, the cost of the equipment, and tips to do well in each setup. Be sure to check out the timestamps in the description. Let's start off by looking at the strengths of the Berserker build. The first and probably the largest advantage the Berserker builds have over the Mages is that Berserkers can lifesteal. The ability to lifesteal allows them to stay alive and become much more survivable, especially in dungeons, whereas Mages are unable to heal back their health effectively. This allows Berserkers to heal back thousands of health with each hit, and is extremely useful on floors 6 and 7, as for 7 there are tons of mobs during the boss phase of the fight, and hitting the mobs to get lifesteal is almost essential to survive. Berserkers are also able to make use of ferocity, which allows them to make each hit deal twice or even 3 times the damage that it would normally deal. Ferocity is a stat that increases your chance to double or triple strike a mob. The stat is increased through things like enchantments, pets, armor sets, and reforges. This feature usually allows them to deal higher DPS than left-click mages. In addition, many sword enchants that work on melee hits but not magic abilities can give the Berserkers an edge, such as Sharpness. The enchantment Sharpness does not work on many of the Mage's weapons, but the Smite enchantment does. And finally, Berserkers are generally more tanky than Mages, especially in Shadow Assassin or Necron armor paired with the Baby Yeti pet. The insane amount of strength Berserkers get boosts their defense and overall EHP while using the Baby Yeti, and even without it, they can heal back almost all their health on each kill. However, the Berserker class does have its weakness. For one thing, Berserkers have to walk up to their targets to hit them. This is a huge disadvantage because ranged mobs like Skeleton Masters have the opportunity to fire their ultimates before Berserkers can get their hits in. Berserkers also have to manage their mana carefully since they don't have huge pools like Mages do. They can't spam teleport and zombie swords all the time, which can sometimes be a disadvantage. For the Berserker setup and cost, in early game, strong dragon armor, an AOTD, and a griffin, preferably uncommon to rare, will do you just fine. A strong dragon armor full set of that should not cost you more than 1.5 billion coins. An AOTD, very cheap nowadays, should not cost you more than 1.3 million. And a griffin, uncommon to rare, should cost you about 700 to 1.2 billion coins. So in total, the entire setup should not cost you more than 4 million coins. For mid to late game, Shadow Assassin to 3/4 Shadow Assassin is a very good armor choice for Berserkers. Shadow Assassin armor is a very good armor piece obtained from the floor 5 boss. Shadow Assassin armor is fairly cheap, save for the chestplate, which is about 30 to 40 million coins. 3/4 helmet, leggings, and boots should not cost you more than 10 million coins in total. For replacement for the chestplate for those who cannot afford it, a very good alternative is a legendary Zombie Knight chestplate, which costs about 1 million coins. A Livid Dagger and Flower of Truth is a very good combination weapon for Berserkers, and if you can only afford one of them, I suggest going for the Livid Dagger. The Livid Dagger is a very good weapon and is useful in many scenarios as it gives 100 crit chance and 100 attack speed, meaning you can attack twice as fast than someone without 100% attack speed. A good pet for this would be a rare griffin, an epic tiger, a baby yeti, or a wither skeleton. A griffin should be rare, a tiger can be epic or legendary. The epic pet should do just fine as it gives the same amount of ferocity as the legendary version. Baby Yetis are slightly more expensive, ranging about 30 to 33 million coins, and sometimes if you want to get a level 101, going to the 40-50 million coin mark. A legendary Wither Skeleton should not cost you that many coins. It's about less than 5 mil, I would say, and it's very useful during floor 7 as it reduces damage against Wither Skeletons. For endgame armor, Necron armor is probably the best armor set, not alternative, as it is the best armor set for endgame players. It gives a ton of strength and crit damage, and the full set bonus summons a small wither that goes around you and can launch out and attack mobs, dealing an area of effect damage for millions of attack. A weapon for endgame players is either a Valkyrie or a giant sword. Valkyrie is the best endgame sword, and it is very expensive, costing upwards of 500 million coins. A giant sword is a lot cheaper, costing around 20 million coins. Ender Dragon and Baby Yeti Pet are almost necessary for endgame players running floor 7. Ender Dragon Pet gives you a ton of damage, and Baby Yeti is very necessary for survivability. Although on floor 7, a legendary Blue Whale Pet will do you better for survivability, as most mobs in floor 7 deal true damage. Reforges for all classes early, mid, and end game is Ancient on your armor, which is a reforge gotten from the Precursor Relic Reforge Stone. It is a very good reforge for armor and will increase your armor stats as you progress in Catacombs level. The Fabled or Withered Reforge on swords is very useful, as the Fabled Reforge can give you a chance to double strike and gives you very good stats, crit damage and strength wise, and if you have a Livid Dagger, you do not need to worry about the crit chance. The Wither Reforge is really good for dungeons, as again, it will progress your weapon stats as you progress in dungeons. For talismans, you would have Strong on all of your legendary ones and half of your epic ones, and for every single other talisman, you will have them on Shaded. Shaded is a reforge found from the Dark Orb, dropped from floor 5. Now, let's talk about mages. Mages are unquestionably the best room clearing class in the game, with their AoE weapons Spear Scepters and Hyperion. They are essential in speedruns. They can take down mini-bosses nearly as well as Berserkers. Mages can also make use of many item abilities. For example, they can teleport all the time and spam their zombie swords when they are low on health. Mages can also attack from a distance, which is a massive advantage over Berserkers using their Mage Staff item class passive ability. In addition to this, the Mage Beam damage scales with intelligence and making the left click mage very powerful. The Mage class does have its weaknesses though. Firstly, it is heavily dependent on mana. While endgame players have access to gear such as Storm Armor and don't have to worry about mana cost, new players struggle all the time and have to hide behind walls waiting for mana to regen. Next, mages can't heal like Berserkers do and are usually squishier. Since the Mage Beam cannot lifesteal or use Ferocity, mages can't heal themselves in any way except for orbs, Healer Circle, or Zombie Swords. But mages can't really place orbs because they will be losing half their mana each time they do, which is a huge hit when you have tens of thousands of mana. They can't use abilities that cause a % of the total mana, such as Flower of Truth or Wither Cloak Sword, as again, that will drain their mana extremely quickly. For mage setup and cost, early game, Wise Dragon Armor will be a very good armor set cost, as it costs about a total of less than 2 million coins for the entire set, about 1.6 million. Weapon-wise, Dreadlord Sword, Bonzo Staff, and Frozen Scythe are all very viable weapons. Frozen Scythe costs about 9 to 10 million coins, so it is a bit more on the costly side, whereas Bonzo Staff and Dreadlord Sword, is very cheap, costing from about 1 million to 10k coins. And for a pet, an Epic Sheep will do you just fine. Mid to late game, Necromancer Lord, Perfect Chestplate, and Shadow Goggles is the armor set you will want to go with, as it will give you fairly good survivability and pretty good mana, and Shadow Goggles will increase your damage to mobs by a ton. A Spirit Scepter, Frozen Scythe, and Midas Staff are all very good weapons for them, although the Spirit Scepter and Midas Staff are very expensive, Midas Staff costing upwards of 100 billion coins, and for a pet, you'll want a Legendary Sheep. For endgame, Storm/Wither Goggles, 3-4 Storms and Wither Goggles is the current meta, which will cost you upwards of about 100 to 130 million coins total. A Hyperion, Spirit Scepter, and Midas Staff are all very good weapons. Hyperion costing upwards of 5 to 600 million coins, and Spirit Scepter Midas Staff costing from 30 million to 130 million. The pet for this is a legendary sheep. For left click mages, you will want the same talisman reforges as Berserker. You will want a Livid Dagger, Giant Sword, and Spirit Scepter, as you will want higher damage from your Mage Beam, and you will want your armor reforged to Necrotic. And for right click mages, you will want Necrotic armor, and you will want your weapon to be on Heroic, and you want Bizarre or Demonic talismans, as they give the most mana. Now, the question we've all been waiting for: which class is better? Very simply put, Berserker builds are a lot better for new players, and Mage builds are very good for late game players. Berserker builds are very cheap, affordable, and it can get your Catacombs level very high and let you switch to Mage whenever you want. Whereas Mage builds are extremely expensive and will cost you tens of billions of coins, if not hundreds. A new player using the Berserker meta can get enough gear to one-tap Zealots with just about 1 to 2 million coins, whereas a new player using the Mage meta has to spend over 10 million coins to do the same thing. But as players progress through the games, expensive Mage equipment like Hyperion starts to outshine the best Berserker gear. This of course is out of the price range for most people, but endgame players generally do better as a Mage. For the average player, it's really up to you and your preferred playstyle to decide on which class you want to play, because both perform about the same in mid to late game. Alright, that's about it, and thanks for watching the video. Again, if you have enjoyed or have learned anything from this video, please remember, do drop a like and subscribe, it really helps me out. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.